Well, Craig, what was your first thought when you heard about what happened to John and Martha King?
I'll be honest with you, when I received the email Sunday evening, I thought it was a hoax. And I sent an email back to John King saying, tell me this is not true. And immediately came the response, it is true, it's not a joke. And we began trying to determine, what had happened. And I was delighted that they were okay. My worry first went to them, but it had to be very traumatizing. It's certainly an unbelievable story.
So what's your take on this now, and what is AOPA doing?
Well, as we began to better understand the story, while I have tremendously high regard for our law enforcement officials, both federal and local, this was a case where something went seriously awry. I am familiar with the work done at EPIC, this organization that actually coordinates intelligence and information from several different agencies. And I was really appalled that somehow an aircraft that had once been stolen, had its registration number retired, could suddenly find its way to a perfectly good and new aircraft that John and Martha King were taking on a pleasure flight to Santa Barbara. There are so many ways that in a matter of a few seconds, as you know, we could have determined where that aircraft was, who owned it, who it was registered to. I think I have a $2 app on my iPad that would have answered that information. And surely this intelligence center, as well as local law enforcement, could have double-checked before they held these two fine, highly regarded members of our general aviation community at gunpoint while they sought more information.
Well, I guess it's even more egregious because this aircraft had been intercepted once before.
We didn't learn that this aircraft had in fact been intercepted before until later today. That's even more incredible because had the registration number not first been retired and expunged from the record, they certainly should have done it after having intercepted the aircraft wrongly before, I guess, as it literally was leaving the factory in Independence. So there's something seriously wrong here. We're being asked, of course, to renew our registrations on aircraft so that the federal authorities have the proper records. In this case, the federal authorities had the proper records, but something, as I said, went seriously wrong when it ended up with a police interdiction of a perfectly legal aircraft flown by our two good friends and people well known in the aviation community, John and Martha King.
Well, now, I guess you've directed some of the AOPA staff to reach out to some of the federal officialdom on this, right?
Well, I actually think that John and Martha King are owed a serious apology by both federal and local officials for this incident. But beyond that, I think the general aviation community is owed an answer as to just what has happened here. Because any of us apparently could fall prey to this kind of foul up in the federal records process. So I really have asked both the head of DEA as well as the mayor of Santa Barbara to look into this, to determine what happened, to tell us how this process is going to be fixed so that people are not apprehended when they're in fact innocent, and they should never have been confronted like this as the Kings were.
Right. Craig, what would you say to the general pilot community about this?
Well, first of all, we are working very hard to determine what happened, and I hope that the authorities will look into this and share with us just as soon as they can their side of this story, and will take remedial action so that analysts who are looking at, I assume, computer-generated red flags that have to do with the registration numbers on aircraft will in fact use some readily available means to cross-check and determine just who that aircraft belongs to. We all are concerned about safety and security, but it's a balance. We enjoy our freedom to fly. We cherish our freedom to fly. We want to make sure that it's done safely, it's done securely. Incidents like this do erode one's confidence, and I really do think we need to get to the bottom of just what happened.